Hello, this week we're talking about ankle stability and injury prevention, but first, our disclaimer. Dr. Mike Matthews, physical therapist here with PT411. Thanks so much for joining me. If you already haven't done so, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Also, make sure you check out thept411.com. So like I said, we're talking about the ankle stability today. We're talking about injury prevention. The big thing about the ankle, it's almost guaranteed that we're gonna roll it at least once or twice in our life. Some people are gonna roll it even more. Every time we roll it, depending on the angle and the direction of the roll, it's gonna injure at least one of the 6 main ligaments in the ankle. They get injured, they will get lax, they will loosen up, and over time they will lose their purpose. Now these ligaments are there to provide stability. They are not the main thing to provide stability to the ankle though. There are 3 things with any joint or any joint system in the body that provide stability there. 1, the ligaments themselves, as they cross over the joint, they provide stability when they're nice and taut. They keep those joints nice and stable and close together. Number 2 is the actual shape of the joints and the bones. Flatter joints and bones like found down in the ankle don't provide much stability. They're really flat. They don't have much congruency. They're not very deep, unlike the ball and socket joint up in the shoulder and down in the hip, that they're nice and deep right there. So just the shape of them provides quite a bit more stability and keeps those joints nice and stable there. The 3rd thing is muscles. Now this doesn't just mean strength, don't get me wrong, strength is a very important part of this, but another very important part of the muscles isn't just that strength, it's also how we control those muscles, how we're able to keep them nice and stable, our balance, our proprioception, our kinesthetic awareness. And the muscles are the only thing that we can actually actively use for that stability. There's not a lot we can do for the ligaments. As they loosen up over time, the more chronic we roll those ankles around, the less that we're going to get from there. There's nothing we can do for the shape of the joints, but we can always work on the muscles. So if we roll our ankles all the time, there's a good chance we can't rely on those ligaments quite as much. Or on the other side of things, if we're trying to protect those ligaments to keep them nice and strong and taut, either way, we need to train the muscles to take some pressure off of those ligaments or take over where those ligaments aren't providing that stability anymore. Last week's video, I looked at ankle sprains and what we can do directly after them to get them up and going and start challenging them. The big thing with these sprains is we can't take too much time off. We got to start challenging the tissues again to make sure we facilitate the proper healing process. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure you go back and watch that one. But for this video, we're just going to jump straight into stability exercises. In this week's video, we're going to look at beginning exercises to work on stability. So we're going to need some sort of resistance band to get these started here. First thing that we're going to do here, get this around our foot with our leg extended here and holding it nice and tight. We're going to work on pressing the foot downward this way. We need to work the other 3 primary directions here. We can work on it around the other foot, moving it outward, move it the other way going inward here, just crossing our foot over here, or you can have somebody else hold it for you. And then we have working, pulling it back towards you this way. So on this one, your knee is bent and you're pulling straight back this way. Now the other thing that we can work on is getting actually up on our feet, balancing on our feet. We're going to start off a little bit more in a static strategy at the moment, is we're just going to stand on that one foot there. Make sure I'm in camera. So you just want to try to balance just on that one foot. It might be kind of wobbly, but that's the thing. First, we need to master this before we can progress things along. So just trying to stand on a flat surface. And you'll notice as I'm doing all these things, I don't have shoes or socks on. I don't want to add any extra stability, any external stability there. I want to work every single muscle, all the intrinsic muscles in my foot and my toes, working up to all the major muscle groups, working up and down that ankle there. So just statically standing there. You want to do this one for about 30 seconds at a time, 3 or 4 sets each time you work on it. A couple times a day is more than enough to get this challenged. If this is easy, you definitely want to get a surface that's a little more unstable there, so we can get something along the lines of a Bosu here. We can get you standing on this, being nice and unstable. And this one, you're just definitely going to be quite a bit more difficult here. If you don't have something like this, you can just get a couch cushion or some sort of thick pillow, something just to make it a little bit more wobbly there. So standing on that, same thing, 30 seconds, 3 to 4 sets at a time, a couple times a day to work on that. We can make this one more difficult. If I'm standing more in the middle right here, I can also put more of my heel in the middle to change my reference point. I can also put more through the toes at the front here. So now I'm changing what part of the foot is taking on most weight. It's definitely going to challenge the muscles quite a bit differently there. We can even try different types of wobble boards. If you have a Bosu, it can act as that on the other side here to where you're on a flat surface, but it moves around quite a bit. So it's going to look something along the lines of this right here. And you're trying to keep it as stable as possible. If you want to train this a little bit more from a dynamic standpoint, you can try to actually work it up and down, going side to side there. And again, you can use this Bosu if you have one of these. There are a lot of different ways you can work on this. Or if you have a wobble board that's nice and flat on one side, but it has a ball or some cylinder on the other side that keeps it unstable there. So another way that we can manipulate this to make this more difficult is we can cut off our visual feed. Our vision plays a major role in balance. It gives us a reference point of where we are in space. So simply by closing our eyes while working through these progressions can definitely make it quite a bit more difficult as well. Keeps our balance nice and challenged, and over time it can make these ankles much more stable. Now the last thing that we're going to work on here is a little bit more dynamic. We want to actually get the ankles moving a little bit more as we're challenging this balance. So we're going to work some heel raises and toe raises in various positions here. First, we can work on just some standard heel raises and toe raises with both feet. This one's probably going to get pretty easy pretty quickly. So just work in there, 30 times. Working these 30 times, a couple times a day. As they get easier, which like I said, probably gonna happen pretty easily, we can start doing it on 1 foot at a time, or 30 times going this way, or 30 times coming back this way. Then from there, we can make it even more difficult, starting off on just a slightly elevated surface, and over time we can increase the height of that surface, but we'll just start off with this for today. Is that single leg coming up and down here, up and down this way. But not only can we use it from the front and the back angles here, we can still do our heel raises and our toe raises with part of our foot off the edge. I'll do this one actually from here. So you're starting off in a more awkward position here, and then you're raising up, trying to get that foot in a nice neutral position up at the top. Stick for a second before we're coming back down. Definitely hold on to something if you need that extra balance. We'll work it from this side, and we can work it from the other side as well. These are more beginning exercises to stabilize the ankles over the next couple of weeks. We're going to work on progressing it quite a bit, make it more challenging, so make sure you stay tuned for those. Again, I'm Dr. Mike Matthews with the PT411. Thanks for joining me.